the twilight's last, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight gave proof to the right that our flag was still flying o'er the ramparts, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
First.
Hello, my name is Cami Bivens, and I am representing the state of Tennessee, so welcome to our wonderful state. I'm going to try not to talk very long, but I'm a Gold Star widow. And June 26, 2017, I got a phone call that no one ever wants to get. And I live in Tennessee with just me and my daughters. And I didn't know what I was supposed to do. And I feel like God puts people in your lives when they're supposed to be there. And the next lady that's coming up here to speak, I didn't know how to plan what I was facing, and I didn't have no family here to help me. And she jumped right in and showed me what I was supposed to do. And where I am in life right now, God put George in my life. And this amazing group of runners, Run for the Fallen, their heart has spoken to me to help me in the next stage of life that I'm going into and to help serve others. Laurel is with Betlings, and she's an amazing woman. She helped me in a time and continues to help me and bless my daughters and myself and blesses very many veteran families. And I just want her to share a little bit of what she does and thank her for everything that she did for me last year. And Laurel, come on up.
I believe the same thing, that God puts people in your life. And you've done an amazing job with this. And to all the runners, I mean, my goodness, what you've done today and for all these days across America, that's amazing what you've done. And to honor your loved ones. And I know that there's some heavy hearts here today, and also some good memories. I was a hospice nurse for 19 years, and so I've taken care of a lot of veterans, and that's kind of where my heart belongs, in caring for veterans, as that's what I'm doing with the rest of my life in nursing. And I've seen families, with everything that they've gone through. Anyway, just to say that I'm thankful to be here. I was very thankful. Cami reached out to me, and her two girls are doing an amazing job. And it was through VetLinks. There were VetLinks at the nonprofit organization, all volunteer, that we started back in 2013. Most of our board are combat veterans and realize the unique needs, and so they've kind of guided our path and what we do. But we have a lot of organizations that come together to do things like helping Cami, because our partners, they're from law enforcement and mental health providers and service organizations. So having that connection is really helpful when you have a time of need. So we were thankful to be there with the family. So I think that's all. I just wanted to say that, every time I look at a flag, I may not have known your loved one in particular, but I do remember and honor them. I'm very thankful. So thank you.
Thank you, Paul. I may use this or I may not. Can't move very far. But I first want to thank Mrs. Jana and all those that helped provide this space for us and the food tonight and just a nice venue of welcome and someplace we can go and feel comfortable and with people that get it and just feel welcome. So thank you for that and all the hard work, and will we just give John a hand and thank you for that. Thank you. And I don't know who else was involved. Is it you? No. Are they here? No, they're not here. Okay. All right, great. Thank you guys, for being here. A lot of you we saw on the road today, and so you kind of understand what this mission is. And I'll just take a few minutes, to give you a little bit more detail and, obviously why it's important. Remembrance is something that we all as a nation need to hold on to. And if we don't understand why we have the freedoms that we have, then we're not a unified nation. Because we are the freest country in the world. And we're free because men and women voluntarily enlist in the armed forces and put their lives on the line. And what do we need to do as a nation is be appreciative, right? I mean, everybody has heard the percentages that probably 1% of the population is in the military today. Probably maybe up to 10% have been involved in the military or are military connected. And it leaves this huge gap, between those that have served or know someone in their family that served with the rest of the nation that just kind of goes about life and enjoys freedom and doesn't think about how it's given or the sacrifice that's made for it. And our organization was established to bring public remembrance to, not to the choir, but to those who don't understand. Because those that get it, the veterans group, the military group, the families that are connected, we don't need the reminders. I mean, it's nice to have the reminders. What I'm saying is that you already are reminded of the importance of that. And so it's the rest of the nation that we had hoped that we could touch with some message of remembrance so that people at the very least would feel the appreciation, that needs to be given. I mean, every one of these, I'm seeing mostly Gold Star families in here, so we had a lot of families along the route today. I think we had 7 families, or maybe 8 families that traveled a distance to be at a marker on the side of the road where there was hardly any shoulder, and they traveled thousands of miles, some of them, of their own expense, and maybe tens of hours to get to this one moment in time. And these individual families thought it was important to be at that moment in time for that 30 seconds. It wasn't a long period, right? And so these families, and I include myself in that, gave their loved ones. They raised these men and women, to be contributors to our society. Not only just going out and getting a job and, paying their taxes, but actually contributing to the point of giving their whole selves individually. Very few do that. And why do they do it? They do it so that other people don't have to do it. They do it so that your neighbors and your coworkers don't have to send their kids out to war. They don't have to enlist because we've got this core group that selflessly gives all. And if these families are sending their loved ones out for our protection to preserve our freedom, the very least we can do is be appreciative, is say thank you. And you may know that one of the flags that we carry is the Honor and Remember flag. Now, it's a flag that was established 10 years ago to be left as a public thank you to every Gold Star family in America, so that when they see it, they flying somewhere, not just at their home, but somewhere on a flagpole, that it makes an instant connection with them, and it says, that whoever has that flagpole, they get it. They understand. They're sending a message to me from my loved one. That was the whole idea of the flag, to get it flying. So we carry that flag because it represents every fallen service member in the history of our country, not just in present day. And Dan, if you want to bring that up. And those of you who have been with us and know about this, one of the things that we thought about as a team is that we need to bring a flag with us. And just right in the middle there, Dan. We need to bring a flag with us because we need to record those that we come in contact with. We need to know how many families thought it was important to come out, or not thought it was important, because so many are out there that haven't been able to make it. But this is a flag that's physically covered with every Gold Star family who has come to their marker in the last 90 days. I can't tell you how many signatures are on there, but it's a lot. And it's only the name of their loved one and their date of death. It's not filled with extra, thank you for being here and we appreciate your support. These are just the names of those family members, their loved one, who was lost. That is a statement. We still have 30 more days to go. And we're carrying that all the way to Arlington. And if this marker is so important to a family, as I said, they don't need a reminder. All of the families carry their reminders with them every day. I want to tell you, how many Gold Star families in here have a tattoo? All right? A few, right? Right? It's important enough to emblazon on our body forever. But to have a family travel from Virginia to California, or from Pennsylvania to Michigan to Iowa, or from Florida to Indiana, that's a big deal for them. And if it's that important to them, how important should it be to the rest of this nation to understand the impact that they could have by just sheer appreciation? Right? The two things that we all want, we want our kids back, right? We want our husbands back, we want our wives back, but we can't have them. The second most important thing is they not be forgotten. And we're doing a pretty good job individually, but as a nation, we kind of suck at it. We just do. To the point where, Dan, you don't have to stay and hold there, thank you. I appreciate it. To the point of, talking to families, and I guarantee you're in the same situation. I have families telling me that their friends at home, their friends at home, or their co-workers, or even some of their own family members are saying, haven't you gotten over that yet? Right? It's been, 2 years. It's been 10 years. It's been 40 years in some cases. Why do you keep talking about him? And then people have lost friends because of it, because they don't want to hear it all the time. This is reality. And that's sad because those of us who have lost loved ones are going to be grieving for the rest of our lives. And we never want to forget, because once we forget, once those memories start to fade, is when I think some of the hardest pain will happen. It's like, my biggest fear is, will I forget what he sounded like, or what he looked like, or what he would have looked like. There's just so many dynamics there. Anyway, I can talk about that for a long, long time. How do you get the nation to remember? And so as an organization, we thought, hey, here's an idea. We're going to gather all of the names of every fallen service member that we can find, that we can accumulate, by reaching out to the Department of Defense and other branches of the service and other organizations, and see if we can compile a really big list of names, and then let's honor them. And so it took over the last 2 years, we've been compiling the names of fallen service members. And that number, as people ask me, well, how did you get 20,000 as a number? Well, that 20,000 is most. I can't say every, because it's not a perfect world. But I can tell you that we've got most, and we probably have the largest database of anybody in the world of American fallen service members, even including the DoD. So we decided that we would start with the USS Cole bombing, October 12, 2000. And then every service member who died since then, this was 18 years ago, since then till present, would be honored. And so we just accumulated this list. It came to a little bit less than 20,000. And then this was 2 years ago we started planning. So we kept adding names and adding names and adding names, because we continue to have death. As long as we have a military, we're going to have loss of life. It's just reality. And we thought, well, let's take these names and figure out what commonality they have, because we couldn't place them by their hometown. That would just be impossible. We just didn't know everybody's hometown. And what if, if you know statistically, California has a huge casualty loss. Texas has a huge casualty loss. There are pockets within the country that have more. We don't know their hometowns. We don't know where their families live. So we thought the best way of organizing this was to organize it by the day that they died. We thought that would be manageable, because there is a unique date of death for everyone. And it doesn't matter if one person died on that day or 50 people died on that day, which has happened. Then we would honor them by date of death. And that way, sequentially, starting with the USS Cole, we could honor across the country, and then families could find us if they were able to. So we put this into a database, and I'm sure that's how you found us. You found the database, you put in your loved one's name, and it spit out a place, a state, a time, and a day. And early on, we had some changes with that, because we kept adding names. And if we added a name that had a different date, it pushed everybody, because we had to honor in order of date. So when we got to a point where we were pretty close, and we locked the database, and then we mapped our trail, and we had to account for 6,000 miles. So we took 6,000 miles, and there was a route that was run 10 years ago originally, and we took that as a guide, and then we deviated because we wanted to go into certain places or certain states, and then we just, like Tennessee. Now, obviously, we're not going to all states. We're going through 19 states. This is our 14th state that we've run through so far. And so this was our plan. But not just to say, okay, we're running for all these men and women, but to actually put voice to those names. Because we're all holding those names in our hearts as family members. And I don't know even if you speak them very often. I mean, you may just hold on to them, and maybe you just speak, you know, your loved one's first name. And my son's name was Tony. I never say his full name, you know. We talk about Tony. You know, you might talk about Brad or Eric or whoever that might be. The rest of the nation never speaks out those names. So we thought, what an amazing thing it would be if we could compile the largest database of fallen service members and then call them out loud, like one at a time, across America. Maybe somebody would listen. You know, maybe somebody would get the idea that these weren't statistics, that these were loved family members, you know, who lived in communities and had friends and had lives. And so that was our mission, to call every one of these names out loud, as long as it took. It didn't matter how long it took, because we were going to run as long as it would take. And planning this 2.5 years ago, you knew there was going to be more deaths, so we had to even plan miles that didn't have heroes, if you know what I mean, because we knew we would be adding heroes, and we had to have an end date, otherwise we'd just keep running and running, because my mindset at the beginning was, we're just going to run until there's no more death. I mean, that was what I was going to do. We're just going to run until they, you know, the last one, whatever that takes. And then people said, no, you got to have an end, or people won't get, they won't understand. So we added 1,000 miles to the end of our planning, right? We had to account for. And we are now, I found out the other day, we're now actually within 33 miles of Arlington Cemetery. So we've used that 1,000 miles. And we are now within 33 miles of Arlington. And we have 30 days to go. It breaks my heart, because I almost believe that the planning of this was ordained. And if we get to Arlington on the exact last day of the last death of that moment, it would truly be phenomenal. And I really believe that might happen. You know, I don't want any more death, believe me, but I'm just saying that the structure and the organization is blessed. And it's just truly been an amazing, amazing journey. So here we are, 90 days into a 120-day journey. We have run 4,093 miles so far. And remember, those 4,093 are not miles, they're dates of death. Every marker is a date of death. So there's been 4,093 unique dates of death since October 12, 2000. It's more important to know what the markers are than whether it's a mile or a half a mile. It's an arbitrary, that is an arbitrary number. Well, what we're doing is making sure that we're honoring at every mile. And so today we ran 49 markers, 49 dates of death for 149 heroes. So today, 149 heroes, we ran 49 dates of death. And sometimes we read one name, and sometimes we read 12. I think we had some large numbers today at individual markers. And so that is our mission, and I'm so appreciative of those that are here. Obviously, that flag means so much to us, of all the families that we have met. And we hope that reverently and respectfully we are probably can tell that this isn't what I do, it's who I am. And every name is precious. Every name. I hope that we bring you honor. And I do hope that this nation gets it. I don't see a lot of evidence of it. This should be the most talked about story in America. It really should be. And I'm not thinking selfishly when I say that. I'm thinking selfishly for all of you, all of those families, and all of those yet to come. You deserve the recognition that this nation owes. And I hope that we bring attention to that in some small way. One of the things we do every single night, those of you maybe who have been with us, our tradition is that we reread all the names that we ran for during the day. And there's a number of reasons why we do that. But one of the main reasons is that it's really noisy on the side of the road. And very often, if you're watching us live, how many have watched us live? Good, a good many of you. Thank you. If you've watched us live and you're listening, you don't always get to hear the names. You can see we're doing something. You see we stop and we try to show the marker so people know we're at what marker we're at. But you don't always get to hear those names. Only those that are there close by most of the time. And so we reread those names in the evening because we want them to be heard again in a quiet place. But we want them to be heard by everyone that we're with. And it's not always Gold Star families who we're with. It's the community and veterans. And we want those who are in the room with us to be able to stand in place of the names of these loved ones for the families that aren't here with us. So you may be waiting to hear your loved one's name today, or you may not have a loved one whose name is going to be read today. But I ask you to please listen as if it is your loved one. First thing, silence your cell phones. If anybody has got your cell phone on ring, please silence it, because that's really a mood breaker, really fast. Now I'm going to ask Kristen to come up with whoever, Steve, who's going to be reading with her, and they will read the names of those we ran for, and she's going to give you the dates. Those 49 dates, she'll tell you what they encompass in terms of year, because I think we're still running in the year 2012. All right?
The dates that we ran for today were August 15th through October 6th, 2012. Private First Class Andrew James Keller, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Eric S. Holman, United States Army. Sergeant Richard A. Essex, United States Army. Chief Warrant Officer 2, Suresh N. A. Kraus, United States Army. Chief Warrant Officer 3, Brian D. Hornsby, United States Army. Private First Class Michael R. DeMarsico II, United States Army. Sergeant Louis Antonio Oliver Galbraith, United States Army. Colonel Michael Peter Stapleton, United States Air Force. Corporal Justin Vincent Fowler, United States Marine Corps. Petty Officer First Class Patrick D. Feeks, United States Navy. Petty Officer Second Class David J. Warson, United States Navy. Petty Officer First Class Sean P. Carson, United States Navy. Specialist James A. Justice, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Gregory T. Copes, United States Army. Petty Officer First Class Daryl L. Enos, United States Navy. Master Sergeant George Matthews Traver Jr., United States Army. Sergeant First Class Coder B. DeVos, United States Army. Specialist Tyler Austin Davis, United States Army. Senior Airman Samantha Marie Emslander, United States Air Force. Corporal Joshua Craig Vilstich, United States Marine Corps. Petty Officer First Class Robert Stephen Lipscomb, United States Navy. Captain Adrian Denise Mitchell, United States Army. Sergeant Zenashia N. Usher, United States Army. Private Dakota Ray Ritchie, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Zachariah Hume, United States Air Force. Staff Sergeant Ty Cameron Barnes, United States Air Force. First Lieutenant Charles Frederick Kenny, United States Marine Corps. Staff Sergeant Jason Perez Ignacio, United States Army. Sergeant Luis R. Torres, United States Army. First Lieutenant Tyrell Antonio Thompson, United States Army. Petty Officer First Class Michael James Bartlett, United States Navy. Sergeant Adam Joseph Thornton, United States Army National Guard. Ensign Justin Robert Woods, United States Navy. Sergeant Alvin Earl Phillips II, United States Army. Second Lieutenant Ryan Christopher Yancey, United States Army. Private First Class Patricia L. Horn, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Towell Brandon Joseph Cullen, United States Air Force. Sergeant Christopher J. Birdwell, United States Army.
Specialist Mabry J. Andrews, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Jessica M. Wing, United States Army National Guard. Private First Class Jane W. Cantu, United States Army. Sergeant Stephen Eric Clemens, United States Marine Corps. Captain Brandon Charles McKell, United States Army. Master Sergeant Michael James Barnes, United States Marine Corps. Sergeant Prince Jamal Gavin, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Jonathan P. Schmidt, United States Army. Specialist John Gabriel Garcia, United States Army. Sergeant First Class Paul DeJesus Kwando, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Jeremy S. Porter, United States Army. Specialist Robert Edward Sanchez Bush, United States Army. Specialist Kyle R. Rookie, United States Army. Sergeant Nathan Ian Robinson, United States Army. Master Sergeant Brian Keith Robinson, United States Air Force. Corporal Jerome Herman Armstrong III, United States Marine Corps. Lance Corporal Alec R. Terwisk, United States Marine Corps. Petty Officer First Class Kevin Morrison, United States Navy. Sergeant Tyrone Akeem Hines, United States Army. Specialist Jared Aaron Davison, United States Army. Chief Warrant Officer 2, Jose L. Montenegro Jr., United States Army. Chief Warrant Officer 2, Thalia S. Ramirez, United States Army. Master Sergeant Philip Nelson Staunton, United States Air Force. Specialist Anthony Walter McGill, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Danny McKinley Simmons Jr., United States Army. Corporal Robert Russell McGee, United States Marine Corps. Private First Class Jonathan Aaron Crawford, United States Marine Corps. Airman Brian Johann Tingle, United States Navy. Staff Sergeant Curtis Anthony Garcia, United States Army. Petty Officer Second Class James William Keith Jr., United States Navy. Specialist Nolan Webb Mincy, United States Army. Sergeant Leroy Chris Lacey, United States Army. Sergeant Douglas Arthur Grant, United States Army. Sergeant First Class Michael David Fisher, United States Army.
Master Chief Petty Officer Anna Maria Hort, United States Navy. Sergeant First Class John E. Kesterson Sr., United States Army. Staff Sergeant Matthew Walter Vaughn, United States Marine Corps. Chief Warrant Officer 4, Curtis Edward Stevens, United States Army. Master Sergeant Ruiz Ruben Alicia, United States Army. Staff Sergeant James Ryan Chappell, United States Army. Specialist Jason Scott Burnett, United States Army. Sergeant Ronald Joseph Forsyth II, United States Army. Sergeant Kyle B. Osborne, United States Army. Private First Class Michael Angelo Kane, United States Marine Corps. Master Sergeant Teresa Michelle Snow, United States Marine Corps. Private First Class Seth Michael Soulsby, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Anthony Carlos Burge Ortiz, United States Army. Warrant Officer 1 Israel Lee Day, United States Army. Lieutenant Colonel Ricky Allen Fowler, United States Army. Sergeant First Class Allison Marie Reynolds, United States Army. Specialist Marlon Anthony Goyton, United States Army. Private First Class Christopher Michael Sroka, United States Army. Tech Sergeant Dexter Jermaine Andrews, United States Air Force. Sergeant Bradley W. Atwell, United States Marine Corps. Lieutenant Colonel Christopher K. Rabel, United States Marine Corps. Sergeant Sapporo B. Nina, United States Army. Specialist Joshua N. Nelson, United States Army. Private First Class John R. Townsend, United States Army. Private First Class Gennaro Bedoy, United States Army. Airman First Class Vincent Manuel Kolishik, United States Air Force. Tech Sergeant Michael Keith Hardesty, United States Air Force. Corporal Humberto Bruno Tubles, United States Marine Corps. Private First Class Charles Russell Wills, United States Army. Sergeant Jason M. Swindle, United States Army. Staff Sergeant India Elizabeth Dixon, United States Air Force. Petty Officer First Class Sean David Gray, United States Navy. Sergeant First Class Roderick Keith Harris, United States Army.
Petty Officer Second Class Rashun Roberts, United States Navy. Private First Class Isaac Lawrence Young, United States Army. Senior Airman Jimmy Daniel Rivera, United States Air Force. Seaman Joshua Michael Lopez, United States Navy. Fireman Alicia Christina Guerrera, United States Navy. Specialist Raylick Quintier Boswell, United States Army. Specialist David Lee Jackson II, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Ryan N. Sparks, United States Army. Sergeant Jonathan A. Golnitz, United States Army. Sergeant Preston Jamiro Davis, United States Marine Corps. Staff Sergeant Jerry Agas Catalina, United States Army. Petty Officer 3 Joshua Michael Willamy, United States Navy. Sergeant Lamar T. Johnson, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Duriel J. Powell, United States Army. Sergeant First Class Kalon Cornelius Cunningham, United States Army. Sergeant Jimin Nequel Rollins, United States Army. Sergeant First Class Riley G. Stevens, United States Army. Senior Airman Jordan Vincent Godbout, United States Air Force. Lance Corporal Sean Robert McMillan, United States Marine Corps. Sergeant First Class Charles Bruce Lacey Jr., United States Army. Specialist Thomas Adam Wade, United States Army. Private Second Class Levi Alexander Johnson III, United States Army. Sergeant First Class Daniel T. Metcalf, United States Army. Sergeant Ian Copeland Wiseman, United States Marine Corps. Colonel Michael Vance Waggle, United States Air Force. Specialist Benjamin David Leftrick, United States Army National Guard. Private Second Class Anthony Wayne Ward Jr., United States Army. Sergeant Thomas J. Butler IV, United States Army National Guard. Sergeant Donna R. Johnson, United States Army National Guard. Sergeant Jeremy F. Hardison, United States Army National Guard. Sergeant First Class Aaron A. Henderson, United States Army. Captain Jeffrey Peter Mirenes, United States Army. Sergeant First Class Fernando Santos Diaz, United States Army.
Private Matthew Allen Beeler, United States Army. Colonel Stephen Ward LeGrand, United States Air Force. Sergeant Camilla M. Steedley, United States Marine Corps. Corporal James Michael Choice, United States Army. Specialist Jamie Lee Schneider, United States Army. Cadet Devin Tyler Durden, United States Air Force. Sergeant Shelton Williams III, United States Army. Warrant Officer Joseph L. Shiro, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Justin C. Marquez, United States Army. Private Kyle Zane Alexander, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Joshua David Dennison, United States Air Force.
$149 service members, over 49 unique dates of death. One of the things that we do at the end of the reading of our names is we want to make sure that everyone is honored who's with us, has an opportunity to honor others. And so if your loved one's name was not read, and you are here and lost someone from any generation, and even if the families that are here, you lost someone from any generation, Vietnam, Korea, it does World War II, it doesn't matter. if you would like to say their name out loud with us so that we may all honor that individual together, I'm just going to really briefly ask if anybody would want to do that. Just raise your hand. Yes, ma'am. Nice and loud.
Nice and loud. Sergeant Jeffrey Michael Kennedy, Army National Guard.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go.
Okay. Clayton Marshall Hickman, United States Army.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Nice and loud. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Gunnery Sergeant Justin Robert Martoni, 3706 in Iraq.
Anyone else?
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
Chief Petty Officer William Henry Snap, retired Navy. And he passed away August 28th of 2005.
Yes, ma'am.
Airman First Class David Maxwell Walker II.
Is there someone else? Oh, go ahead, Dan.
Lieutenant Jerry Don Lawrence, U.S. Army.
Thank you. Anyone else? If we could just bow our heads for a moment of silence and reflection on the names that were read today and the families that they left, and those that were mentioned, and those that are yet to come. Amen. One of the things that we have the pleasure of doing along the way on this journey is to, obviously, we are focused on honoring individually by name. I mean, this is a focus of the organization, is to honor and continually honor, not just globally, but individually by name. And one of the opportunities that we have in the evening, sometimes not every evening, but lately it has been, is the opportunity to present a special flag to families who have requested and have been waiting for an honor and remember flag. And we have 3 families tonight that we caught up with, or they caught up with us. And we're going to honor them together. So what I'm holding is an honor and remember flag that's embroidered, it's hand sewn, and it's folded in a presentation triangle like this because it mirrors the American flag that was taken off of the casket, reverently folded and respectfully encased in a shadow box as a gift from a grateful nation and a reminder of the loss. But the honor remember flag is folded this way one time. And it mirrors the American flag only at this moment. Because once it's unfolded, it's meant to be a public symbol of appreciation and a celebration of their life, and not a memorial of their loss. And so I would like the Lefrick family to come up. It's going to be one or all or however you want to do that. And you guys, if you'll just stand right over there to my right, so, gosh, you're half the room.
You know what you said, talking about ironic, my son's mile was just down the road. This is his hometown, and we were literally across the street from his funeral at his mile.
I heard that story.
Yeah.
Of all the chances, I'm going to do this one. Of all the chances, of all the miles, of all the dates, and of all the tribute that were put together, we ended up within 100 yards of where the funeral was in his own hometown. That kind of coincidence just doesn't happen. So, Cammie, I'm going to ask you to read the certificate. Would you? And I'm going to hold the flag for them.
Honor and remember. This honor and remember flag is
This honor and remember flag is presented with eternal gratitude and respect in memory of Specialist Benjamin David Lefterick. With this flag, we honor this patriot's unwavering dedication and remember the selfless sacrifice. By displaying this symbol collectively as a nation, we humbly recognize the enormity of your loss and respectfully say thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All of you guys, I know, even you. You were the brave one, Brian.
Brave, stupid.
Crazy.
Crazy.
Would the Jackson family please come forward? Would the Jackson family please come up?
This honor and remember flag is presented with eternal gratitude and respect in memory of Specialist David L. Jackson II. With this flag, we honor this patriot's unwavering dedication and remember their selfless sacrifice by displaying this symbol collectively as a nation. We humbly recognize the enormity of your loss and respectfully say thank you. May we have the Hickman family come forward? This honor and remember flag is presented with eternal gratitude and respect in memory of Warrant Officer 2, Clayton M. Hickman. With this flag, we honor this patriot's unwavering dedication and remember their selfless sacrifice. By displaying this symbol collectively as a nation, we humbly recognize the enormity of your loss and respectfully say thank you.
One more thing, right, Tammy? Actually, I would like to acknowledge all the Gold Star families in the room. So if your loved one died while serving our country or as a result of serving our country, I would ask that you please stand so that the young ladies can identify you and honor you with a rose. Are you ladies ready? Everyone, I don't care if you were honored already. Stand. Your Gold Star family, please stand. I think they have enough for everybody. Everybody. Thank you, ladies. Up front here, too. I think even the Gold Star dads are getting roses. And John, we have somebody to pray for. Oh, Cammie said she was going to pray, right? No, who did? Marcy said she was going to pray, okay. You guys can sit down if you've got a rose. Thank you. This kind of ends our time by blabbering up here. And thank you guys for being here. And let's just enjoy some fellowship. We have something else, okay? Awesome. Okay. We have, okay.
So great there yesterday. But you'll come up. Look, why don't you turn around, let's see what his name. There you go. David Walker. The second.
So Jonna has a screen printed flag for is this was your son?
So, yes.
For David Walker's mom. What's your name?
Sarah.
Sarah. So okay. So this is a screen printed honor member flag. Sarah, like any family can request a flag, not just like this, but one with the name on it on the website. And I know that Sarah hasn't had a chance to do that yet. And so Jonna is honoring her with this flag tonight. So thank you, Jonna. Can you fold it for her? And Marcy, if you'd like to come and pray for dinner and everybody can fellowship and hang out for a little bit. Thank you, dear.
Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for bringing us all together tonight.
We're here to honor the fallen soldiers, remember them, and honor these families. But all the glory goes to you. In your name we pray. Amen.
Any protocol? What do you want to do here? I guess just line up buffet style and enjoy.
There's no protocol.